The Kindergarten Teacher is a drama film about a 40-year-old teacher named Lisa who lives in Staten Island, New York, and who feels bored and unfulfilled with her banal, middle-class existence. When she discovers that one of her 5-year-old students named Jimmy is incredibly gifted with an immense potential and talent for poetry of all things, she becomes convinced that she has to nurture his talents, and her methods will start becoming more and more reckless and questionable, to the point where she will be capable to deceive and betray anyone who could potentially get in her way. This film is the American remake of an Israeli film that came out back in 2014, and the plot of both films are pretty much 95% identical, I would say. I say this is definitely the better version of the story. If you're going to watch just one of these, I would definitely recommend you watching this one, and then maybe going back and watching the original as a curiosity. The reason I think that's a weaker film is because I think it has some pacing problems. It is definitely not as impactful as this new film, and while the acting in it is definitely not bad by any stretch of the imagination, it feels badly directed. Sometimes the characters just feel way too restrained, and certain directorial decisions definitely feel questionable. I don't think it's just a cultural thing or a cultural difference. It might be, but I kind of doubt it. And while the main actress in that film is definitely not bad, I don't want to offend her or anything, but come on, let's face it, it's Maggie Gyllenhaal who is in this film, who as always is absolutely astonishing. It's definitely overall a pretty restrained and subdued film. Not everything is spelled out for us, but the writing and the main performance really make everything pretty clear. Now, the main thing to know about this main character, Lisa, is that above all else, she values intellectualism, curiosity, and knowledge in people more than anything. And so you would wonder, why would she become just a simple kindergarten teacher? Well, despite valuing all of those things in other people, it's quite possible that she is not as much of an intellectual, or is not as curious or as knowledgeable as she would like other people to be. It's no wonder she appears to be bored and unhappy. She's definitely not finding any of those traits in the members of her family. She is married, and her husband seems to be a nice enough guy, but their marriage isn't necessarily anything you would write home about. It's not anything amazing. She has 2 kids, a boy and a girl, and the boy wants to enlist in the Marines of all things, while her daughter is at the age and at the stage of her life where she prefers to party, she prefers to be twiddling on her phone, or just engaging and socializing with people in a much more superficial manner. She actually does make the excellent point that she does get straight A's in school without having to work hard for it, while her mother, who has worked her ass off, only ended up being a mere kindergarten teacher. So you definitely feel like there's nothing necessarily broken in this family, but all of them just have different mentalities, different passions, and different visions of the world, and there isn't anything necessarily that connects them together. So when she finally finds those qualities in this little boy, you can bet that she is ready to fight tooth and nail in order to protect it and nurture it, and her concern and where it comes from definitely feel totally understandable. She actually compares little Jimmy's talents to Mozart. She says that Mozart, when he was a kid, was nurtured by kings and queens. They massaged his tired hands and fed him candy while he was playing piano. Little Jimmy doesn't have that. Little Jimmy should have that. Now, while Jimmy's life is definitely not terrible, it kind of feels like he has been left on his own. I mean, his mother has left him and his father for another man. His dad definitely doesn't have any time to spend with him because he owns several bars and he is definitely way too busy with that. And the only person who is kind of keeping a closer eye on him is his babysitter, who definitely feels like is a pretty great person, but she is also a part-time actress, and she might not be the most reliable or the most responsible person on the planet. Sometimes she comes late to pick him up from kindergarten, and she actually addresses him and talks to him like a little kid, which Lisa urges her not to. And that's all fine and dandy, you know, it's understandable. You found this prodigy, and you know that his talent is just on a level that's far beyond his age. So you pretty much want everyone to treat him as a more mature person, sure. But her behavior will start becoming more and more hypocritical when she will actually start lying. You see, she is a struggling poet herself who is attending these poetry classes, and her work there is pretty much always dismissed as being very derivative and poorly written and just bland. But when one day she will start reciting some of Jimmy's poems, everyone is just like, whoa, that's amazing. And she doesn't necessarily say out loud that those poems were written by her, but she also doesn't say that they weren't. So you know she realizes that everyone thinks that she wrote those amazing poems. And what's interesting is that her poetry teacher, someone who hasn't really noticed her up until this point, actually starts becoming quite infatuated with her because of this, because of what he perceives to be her own unique artistic talent. And she will find herself in this very strange place, in this situation that kind of started out of altruism, but is kind of slowly starting to turn into egoism. I mean, she has found something in this little boy that she desperately wants to cling on to, something something she wants to protect, and something that really kind of ignited a fresh spark in her life. Something that really brings her a form of recognition as well, even for just a brief amount of time. So the whole movie is basically this character study about Lisa. The whole situation is much more about her than about this little boy. Little Jimmy, who is indeed a genius, really doesn't seem to care about this all that much. He really doesn't seem to be aware of his talent, and his poems just come to him completely naturally, just out of pure instinct. And it's no wonder, you know, he is a 5-year-old. That's the irony of the situation, is that you can be a person at an age where you can be incredibly talented at something, but you can't quite be passionate about it just yet. And that's something that Lisa is worried about and is completely right about, that the fact that this little boy has a very high level of talent, but a pretty low level of passion. And as he will mature in age, there is a risk that his passion might increase, but his talent might decrease. And the two have to meet somewhere halfway. And in order for that to happen, the talent of this person has to be nurtured. And so she considers it to be her mission to do this for him. It's very interesting that Jimmy's father, despite being happy about his intellect and happy about his talent and happy about the fact that he likes poetry, also wants his son to live a more normal life, as he puts it. He definitely wants his son to do something practical and to earn money. He doesn't want his son to become like his brother, who, as he puts it, wanted to be an intellectual, but all he is now is a 42-year-old man who corrects spelling mistakes for the newspaper. It just goes to show you how artists are viewed and thought of in this day and age. You know, if you tell someone you're an artist, especially something so abstract as a poet, you know, their immediate reaction is probably going to be, "Aw, you poor thing, you must be starving." You know, it's absolutely ridiculous to think that something so precious as talent can inspire so much pity and so much doubt and so much disparagement, that it can never be viewed as anything beyond mere pastime or hobby. It's very rarely that a person like Lisa, who knows and realizes the importance of that, can come along in someone's life. So I like this movie immensely. It definitely made me very sad. It's definitely not an uplifting movie, but I resonated with it immensely and I would highly recommend it to anyone. So my question to you guys would be, what are some of your favorite films either about artists or very talented people who are unable to or are unwilling or are just prohibited to nurture their talents? Really curious to know about your answers. Don't forget to leave them down below in the comment section. Thanks for watching my review as always. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe and hit that bell and that notification thing so you can see me later in other videos. And until that happens, folks, don't forget to stay cool, stay awesome, and keep on watching movies. Bye, y'all!